Hey everybody, Blaise here, and it's Thursday, so that means we're on YouTube. Happy to see you. You know what? We've been the last couple live streams we've done with YouTube, Facebook. We've jumped back over to paper at my animation desk, and it's been wildly popular. And I love that. I love that there's still a generation out there, or new generation out there, that really digs what we used to do on paper. And so I just thought I'd keep it going, and we'll do some more animation on paper today. The other day I just did a simple head turn with this character that I've been doing. And so I thought I'd use the same character today and do something a little bit more dynamic where he's really angry. And I was looking at the whole reason I designed him was for my course that I'm creating on acting for animation. And I wanted him to do this angry scene that I'm doing. And here I want to do something that's really explosive. And I want to put it right in your face, right in the camera. Back on Beauty and the Beast, there's a whole bunch of shots I animated in Beauty and the Beast with the Beast, but there was one shot in particular where Belle is begging for her father's life because he's locked away, and Beast goes, "Well, he shouldn't have trespassed here." He gets right in the camera, right up close. I animated it so he came right up really close, and we get it right in on his eyes and his nose, and it came out really dynamic. And I thought that might be kind of fun to do today with this character that I've designed, where he just goes, "No!" I don't want to do a whole bunch of complicated dialogue, so I figure that's something we can animate in the time allotted, which is him he's getting really mad. And I was looking at Wolverine as reference when he goes berserk, in the last Logan movie. And he just, no! So I want to animate that. I just make myself cough. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do some hand-drawn animation. And in the meantime, as I'm drawing, like we always do, I want you guys to ask questions. We'll talk about the old days. We'll talk about animation. We'll talk about music. We'll talk about life. We'll talk about whatever. Yeah, we do that. Oh, and I've got Dustin here, my son. Say hi, Dustin.
Hi.
Let them know you're here. Put your hand in front of the camera. Do something. There he is. There's Dustin. There's Dustin. Squish my head. Squish my head. All right, that took way too long. All right, so let's switch cameras. Mm-hmm. So here we are, and what I've done is I've gone ahead before we started filming, and I just wanted to thumbnail something out. No matter how simple a shot I have, I always thumbnail. So this is kind of my fielding. This is what I'm imagining, which is going to be in the paper, and so I want to start here with this guy. And I want him to be angry, and his anger is building and building, and so you're going to see his anger intensify until he scrunches down. He's going to go, "No!" And if we go to this pose right here, "No!" That's right in the middle of the no, and then we're going to finish up with him right in camera, right here. There's our fielding, and you can see he's going to come up really close. So that's what I'm going to animate today. Something really kind of big and dynamic, and hopefully it won't take too long. But I'm going to put these off to the side. These are my guide. This is what I'll refer to. We did this with every shot. Every shot we animated in whatever movie we were working on, we'd always work out the choreography first, like this, and then we would go back and animate. And if you hear a lot of jingling and stuff out there, that's my dog running around, and he's getting a little full of energy right now. Can you put him outside? That would be great. He needs to go outside and run around. So how are we doing, Dustin? We got people on?
Yep.
We got questions flowing?
Where can I buy the light table?
Oh, the light table. Well, this is a Disney desk. This is my old Disney desk that I'm drawing on. Before I jump in, let me just talk about the desk real quick. Go back to camera 1. So this desk that you see right here, this is my desk that I've worked on. I've worked on this desk for 25 years. And this desk in particular, I was with Disney for 21 years. Um, but this desk in particular, these desks were built for Disney. They were custom built for us at our studio at MGM in Florida. And I animated.
In fact, that's a picture of you in the background.
That is me in the background, yes. Can you see through the camera? Yeah, that's me sitting at this desk while I was animating on Lion King. Let's see, you can see the age difference. Yes? But I did Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Mulan, Brother Bear. Did all those movies sitting at this desk animating. So basically what I'm saying is it's going to be hard for you to find the same kind of setup. But there are lots of animation equipment places out there. You just need to Google them. And you'll find places. This is the disc. This is my disc that I animate on. I'll come back to, yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm. This is my disc that I animate on. These are the pegs to hold the paper in place. There is a light table underneath. There's the light right there. So if I turn it on, let me get my disc back in place. I have a switch underneath the desk. So if I turn it on, you can see there's the light. I don't use the light table. I never do. This hardly ever turns on. I like to see the animation as I flip the paper. So I rarely ever turn on my light table. The other thing, the thing I'm drawing with today is I like to draw big and fat. Meaning I like big, fat pieces of graphite, which is, I think this is a number 2. And then the thing I have holding it, it's just basically, it's a graphite holder. It's just got a little thing in the back, a little button in the back you press, and it opens up, and you just slide. Whatever, it takes charcoal, graphite, pastel, whatever.
And where can you usually find that?
You can, if you go on Amazon and Google these, or not Google them. If you search them on Amazon, you'll find all kinds of stuff, and a lot of the different art stores have them as well.
And how long have you had that one?
I've had this for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for years. I'm just going to go ahead and start drawing now.
How old were you when you started animating?
How old was I?
Yeah.
I was 20. I was 20 when I got my internship with Disney when I was 20 years old. So I was pretty lucky.
Are the animal
I was just out of my second year in college. Sorry, Dustin.
Are the animal skulls there for reference as you animate certain characters?
No, these are just animals that I've eaten recently, and I just put them up on my desk. No, these are definitely for reference, and then most of them are casts. You guys know I'm a big animal advocate, so I try not to provide a market for killing animals, but I do use these skulls for when I create my how to draw whatever animal I'm creating a course on, whether it's bears or wolves or horses or whatever, big cats. And so each time I do that, I order new skulls from Bone Clones. That's where I get them, and they're all casts.
How did you get into the industry?
I was when I was in my second year of wrangling. I realized I was going to start needing to find a job. I was going to graduate in a year, and the job that I'd wanted to get with National Geographic didn't exist. And so I found out that Disney was coming to interview at Ringling College of Art and Design, where I went to school. And hold on one second, sorry. There we go. And so I found out they were coming to interview for interns. They wanted to see if they could teach young students from across the country, if that knew how to draw. They wanted to see if they could teach them to animate. Let's see if I can get this a little better. I'm not liking this drawing very much.
Before your internship, what kind of part-time jobs did you have?
Oh, it was all everything I did was art related. So any kind we got a lot of art related jobs that would come into our business our business section of our school, and so they would hand those out as freelance jobs for students, and so I took every freelance job I could find. So here I've got, just real quick, Dustin, before we do anymore. Here I've got, everything kind of going this way, and I want to counter that with his shoulders. I'm going to bring his shoulders, and his neck is kind of around like this. I'm going to bring his shoulders on the opposite tilt. You can see right here. And because we have a slight down, his face is slightly down from us, I'm going to move his ears up. Like so. In my key drawings, this is my first key, number 1, right here. And so when I'm doing my keys, I tend to take a little bit more time with them. Because that's going to be a key drawing. It's going to dictate what the other drawings are doing.
How do you avoid over animating?
Well, the biggest thing to do to avoid over animating is to make that scene real to yourself. And if you really look at the way people act, people don't move around as much as a lot of people think. And that's one of the things that young animators will do wrong at first, is that they move their characters too much. Animation is not the art of moving stuff. It's the art of bringing things to life, right? You've heard me say that 100 times. And so it's really, in order to bring something to life, you're not always having to move it a lot. And it's really, think about the scene that you're animating, and I'm going to redo these eyes. Think about the scene that you're animating, and what is it that you're trying to say in that shot, in that scene. I'm going to give them bigger irises. And then really break it down and think about, okay, what is it I'm trying to say? And then what's the simplest, clearest, most dynamic, unique way of saying it? And believable. And if you can answer that, if you can get that, then you're right there. And then you'll avoid over animating.
Have you got any portfolios or work from before Disney that you could show?
Not really. Before Disney, I was in high school. I was in college. Before college, I was in high school. Unfortunately, all of my work in high school, I lost it all in a fire. My house burnt down when I was a kid, and so we were homeless for a little while, and as a result, I just didn't have any. I don't have any drawings from that period, but I do have some college drawings that I probably could share at some point. Yeah.
So you didn't go to Ringling for animation, you learned on the job?
Yes, I learned on the job. Ringling, when I went to Ringling, you guys got to remember, Ringling is an animation school now, where they teach animation. But when I went there, there was no animation being taught, because animation wasn't really a big thing back in 1986. I went there from 86 to 89. There was no big resurgence of animation yet. It was our group that kind of came into animation that was part of that. And then Ringling decided to start adding animation to their curriculum. But in 1986, this is before The Little Mermaid and before Oliver and Company and all those films. And, there's, I think, The Black Cauldron was the last film, or maybe it was The Great Mouse Detective. There was no, so I'm kind of working this drawing to death here, but I want to make sure it's right.
What's your favorite film that you worked on?
Probably well, there's Brother Bear, which I enjoyed immensely because I learned so much on it. But I don't think it's my favorite film, although I like it. Um, I think my favorite film that I've worked on it's two. It's Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. So here I've got this really kind of dynamic pose, and he's got this tank top that he wears, a wife beater shirt, as they call them. There. How's that? Can that show? Is that showing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's coming out great.
Great. All right. So I want to get the ears in. You know, don't want to leave any of the details out.
So 2 questions.
Yeah.
First, what are your thoughts about Disney making a live-action version of Mulan? And second, do you ever take on commission work?
I don't take on commission work anymore. I used to. And I'm really excited about Mulan being done in live action. And I forgot, Mulan is also one of my favorite films I've ever worked on. I really, really enjoyed working on that film. All right. I'm getting a little too noodly.
And actually, Mulan, which character did you enjoy animating more, the ancestors or Yao?
I think I enjoyed Yao more. He was just more fun. The ancestors were cool and all, but I think Yao was more fun.
Do you have any advice for new young animators?
Just do it a lot. It's hard, and you know, and remember, I mean, really look at the past. Look at what other animators have done in the past, and you know, build off of that. So what I want to do here is I want his expression to get more intense. This is just our starting expression. So I'm going to bring him forward a little bit. Really bring those eyebrows down.
How do you animate different speeds, such as if I wanted to have a dancer spin faster than the base animation speed, or vice versa, a slower spin?
It's really just how many drawings are you putting in per second. So, I mean, the animation is always the same, right? I mean, the film rate. So that doesn't change. So it's really how much are you spacing your drawings? More along the lines of what I should say. It all depends on how far you space your drawings. If I space my drawings really close together, they're going to move more slowly. If I space my drawings further apart, they're going to move faster. So I'm almost getting into like the Incredible Hulk territory in the way that he scrunches his nose. And a lot of people ask me, do you use a mirror? And no, I don't. What I try to do is really feel it. This is going to come down just as much, but the nostrils are going to come up and it's going to pull the nose up a little bit like that.
Were you sometimes frustrated when you were learning drawing?
Oh, of course. You know, you get frustrated a lot trying to figure out how things work, you know?
Would you ever animate your own version of Bambi for a live stream?
My own version of Bambi. Oh, that'd be interesting. I mean, I could do like a deer. If you mean the movie, no. Can't animate a movie in a live stream.
Very excited for the next How to Train Your Dragon?
Yes, very much so. I'm a big fan. I've talked about him constantly. Dean Dubois, who's the director. He and I are pretty good friends, and whenever we were writing new scripts for our movies, we'd always have Dean come and look at our script and give us notes because he's such an amazing story guy. He knows script writing so well. So what I'm trying to do is get this really intense look on his face.
Around what time did drawing finally quote-unquote click for you?
I think in my 20s it started to click. You know, when I was at Disney, I started at Disney when I was 20, and I struggled with my drawing a lot. And I don't think it was probably until Mulan that my drawings really started to click for me.
Would you ever give us a tutorial on animating a female character?
Sure. On my human anatomy course, I do a female walk cycle. She's walking towards camera. So here, when I get to drawings like this, I like to really kind of push those teeth. And meanwhile, just real quick, Dustin, sorry, yeah. And if you guys haven't heard me talking about it, which I'm sure you have, but we've got a brand new course out on storyboarding, which is really great, by my friend Lyndon Ruddy, who's worked for Sony, Disney. He's up at Blue Sky right now. He's just amazing, and he's one of the best story artists I've met. And so he put together this course for us, and we just got it out last week, and so it's really come together well, and so I really recommend it. We're really happy with it, and I hope you guys check it out at creatureartteacher.com. Someone trying to get in the door?
Sorry.
Oh. So anyway.
What do you think about Harry Partridge's animation?
Who?
Harry Partridge?
I don't know who Harry Partridge is. Do you know, Dustin?
Rings a bell. I just can't remember where I've heard that name.
There, so you can see the intensity I'm trying to build. Is that showing up when I flip?
Uh-huh.
And I want his jaw to get more and more clenched. So I'm going to pull that jaw out just a little bit more. Like the muscles are flexing, right? And everything's tightening. I'm always trying to feel that emotion.
Do Disney animators ever get art block while on the job?
Oh, sure. But a lot of times, you know, one of the great advantages we had as Disney animators is that we're all on the job together. And so if you run into art block, you can always talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm having some problems here. I don't know what to do. Do you have any ideas? And we would all work together. And so it wasn't really ever a huge issue.
What's a common mistake that beginning animators make?
We were talking about it earlier. I think the biggest common mistake that young animators make is they over animate. they get caught up in the movement rather than getting caught up in the emotion. What is it they're trying to say in the shot? I think that's what I used to see the most.
Do you like listening to music when you animate or draw?
I do. When I'm just starting a shot like this, a lot of times music is too distracting because I've got too many things going on in my head. But once I get to the point where I'm just adding drawings and doing my in-betweens and breakdowns and that sort of thing, then it's easier, and then I'll put music on. And I listen to all kinds of stuff. I'm going to start to pull the shoulders up a little bit right here. It really scrunched right in there. He's really ticked off.
Can you teach yourself animation, or should you learn it at school?
I think people can teach it. I mean, I think you can teach yourself, especially now. There's so much information on the internet. You know, with stuff that I'm doing, other animators are doing. You know, there's enough stuff out there with courses, and you know, I've got a full animation course on my website, creatureartteacher.com. And so, I think people can teach themselves. It's just a matter of, you know, having the discipline to do it. Because it's, you know, animation is not easy. And there's a lot of principles that we follow. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to do an in-between. So see how his look intensifies? Does that show up on there? Can you see it intensifying? Yeah. So he's scrunching his face. So I'm going to do an in-between. It's going to bridge the gap between those two drawings.
In the movies that you've worked on, did you do the coloring in them as well?
No. I wasn't responsible for any color. I was responsible for the movement of the character, the acting. So I never did any more than what you're seeing right here. I would do what's called rough animation. And so it was my job to get kind of the acting, the emotion through the rough animation. And then I had assistants that would come through and do the cleanup drawings, meaning basically they would redraw everything that I had drawn and make them really pretty, and those are the drawings you would see on the screen. So basically, you never see, none of my drawings ever made it to the screen. It was somebody else's drawings that drew over my drawings.
But you got the basic movement down.
Yeah. It was my job to get the acting.
How did you approach learning new things?
How do I approach learning new things? Well, first of all, I just don't be afraid of it. Just attack it, and then you just do it over and over. You know, it's like anything. You learn through repetition, right? And so the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
How many frames are you planning to draw for this shot?
I'm not sure. I don't know how many frames it's going to take. It's probably about 60 or 70 frames. And that's not how many drawings I'm going to do. I'll probably get about 10 drawings in. I think I can do this in about 10 drawings. Maybe 12.
50 drawings later.
Most of our live streams when I'm animating have been in the hour and 30-minute range, hour and 40-minute range.
Give or take.
Yeah, I think this one will be about 2 hours.
Just because of the complexity?
Yeah.
for the latecomers, what's the type of pencil or pen you're using at the moment?
So this is just a graphite holder with a piece of graphite in it. It's a 2B graphite lead inside a holder, and then the paper I'm using is just pegged. It's punched 16 field paper for animation, and I can't remember where we got it from. I have to pull that up. My friend Dom Carolla, who owns Premise Entertainment. He orders the paper. This is a batch I'd gotten from him a couple of years ago. I'm still using it.
How long do you draw until? How long do you draw until you take a break before starting again? I've been having pain in my head. I'm sure it's because I've not taken any breaks.
I just take a break when I feel like taking a break. I don't have any set schedule as to when I take breaks.
What's your opinion on outsourcing animation?
Well, if the outsourced animation is done well, then that's great. You know, animation for the entertainment industry, a lot of people forget it's a product. It's being done to make money, and so the less overhead you can create, the more profit there's going to be on the back end for the people that are investing in that show that you might be working on. And so, outsourcing it's inevitable. They have to find, a lot of times they have to find cheaper ways of getting the shots animated. Now the danger of that is when you outsource something, you're basically relinquishing control of it. And so a lot of times there might be a studio out there that takes it, that doesn't do a very good job with it, and then you're stuck with bad animation. So that's why a lot of times outsourcing gets a bad name, because sometimes it's done badly. But there's a lot of studios out there that do it well.
Did you draw any of the backgrounds in the movies, or who does the background drawing?
The background drawings are done by the background department. It's that simple. So no, I didn't do any of the backgrounds. The way it's done is once a sequence is storyboarded, it'll go into production. So when it goes into production, one of the first things it does is it goes to the layout department, where they figure out the staging, the camera moves, where the characters are going to be, all of that stuff. And then from there, the actual background, they draw the background as well. So then the actual background goes to the background department, when then the character part of it goes to the character animator, who will then animate the shot while the background's being painted. And we would just use like a drawing of the background to register our characters to. There we go.
Who are your artistic influences?
I've got a whole bunch of artistic influences. My biggest animation influence is Glenn Keane. You guys have heard me talk about him 1,000 times, I'm sure. But Glenn really inspired me in my early days. He taught me animation, first of all. Glenn is one of the best contemporary animators alive today. And, back in 1988, he took me under his wing and he taught me animation. Well, there's a lot of people that have influenced me over the past. That some of them have been colleagues, some of them have been artists that I've seen in books. I mean, you just never know where you're going to get inspiration from.
Are keys the same as extremes?
Yes, keys and extremes are the same. Good question. That's a very good question. Whoever asked that.
That would be Kat Haita.
Kat Haita.
Haita. H-I-T-A.
Haita. So just getting those ears in. Getting the rest of the character drawn in here. And you'll see I keep this really rough.
Well, the viewer says it looks like the character Tychus from a game called Star Citizen that I play.
Oh yeah?
It looks a lot like him.
Oh, that's cool.
In which Tychus is a prisoner who is basically on the death sentence, but he has to fight for
His right to party?
his right to party. Yeah, but basically has to fight for the emperor, and so he's encased in this suit of armor that he can never get out of
Oh, gotcha.
until he fulfills his sentence.
There, can you see the animation?
Yeah,
It's pretty subtle.
yeah.
So
You can
now,
see the change of the eyes.
before he starts to scream, I want to do what's called a take. So he's gonna close his eyes. He's gonna really scrunch up. Everything's gonna come down really hard. Really gonna push everything.
When do you feel it's best to straight to head versus pose to pose?
Straight ahead is for complex action. Like if I have a character running across the screen or dancing or whatever the case might be, straight ahead is best for that. Now if I have a character that's like this, that has very distinct key poses, then pose to pose is probably a better option. See that scrunch? Pulling the nose apart a little bit.
Do you always animate straight ahead and then put charts?
Yes. I have it in my head what I want it to be, but it's not always right. And so what I'll do is I'll animate all the drawings that I see in my head the way I think it needs to be drawn. And then I'll shoot it and time it out and see how accurate I got it. And more often than not, I'm in the ballpark.
What made you choose a job related to art in general?
There was never any choice for me. I just always knew I was going to be an artist. That's what I always wanted to be. And luckily I had a family that was really supportive of it.
When will the digital painting course for Procreate be released?
I'm not sure yet. I've got to get to it. Right now I'm working on this animation course. So it'll come down in the future, trust me.
How do you stay constantly focused while drawing?
Oh, and still like talk like I'm doing with you guys. I know in my head where I want things to go. And sometimes if I'm struggling, you'll see that I go and I don't know what I'm to say because I'm struggling with where I need to go with the drawing. But I usually just know where I'm going with it, so it's not too bad.
When you worked at Disney, did you have a choice whether you could draw people or animals?
No, well, I mean, a lot of times animators are cast to their strengths, obviously. So they're going to be. If there's an animal in a film and this particular animator is good at animals, then they'll more than likely get that animal. But sometimes, in the case of like Mulan, where there's a dragon and a horse, but beyond that, there's not really any animals, or there's a cricket. You're casting whoever you get.
How difficult can it be to get a job in the animation industry?
Well, it's very difficult. you got to realize there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people out there that want the same job you do. And more than likely, there's someone out there better than you. There always was with me. And so I just had to fight that much harder to get the job that I wanted. And it's hard to do. It's really hard. The odds are stacked against you. But you have to be willing to listen, to make yourself better. You have to be willing to take criticism and take it to heart. You got to really listen to what someone has to say, especially someone that knows what they're talking about. I've encountered so many young people that can't take the criticism, and they're going to burn out. They're going to go away. They take it so personal when someone tries to tell them, how to make their portfolios better. And those are the ones that'll never survive in the animation industry anyway, because they can't take the criticism at all. And so much of the job is being able to take criticism. I can't tell you how many times I would go in as an animator and sit with the director, and the scene that I animated was all wrong, and we got to sit there and work it out. So it's having the ability to do that will help you.
To you, what makes a good story?
That's a great question. Irony. I think irony is a big part of a good story. And then I also think I like characters that really evolve, that learn. A lot of the stories that I write, the movies that I've worked on, that I've been a part of writing, we don't necessarily create traditional villains. It's usually the protagonist is also the antagonist. He's fighting against himself or herself in a world that they have to figure out. And those are my favorite stories. And then if you're just talking about genres, I really like nature and sci-fi.
Do you like Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I don't know it.
I personally ended up watching through the series.
Yeah.
And it's actually a lot of fun.
I've heard nothing but great things about it. I've just never seen it.
The movie, I ended up watching.
You're not talking about M. Night Shyamalan's movie, the live action.
No. The animated,
yeah.
But the Shyamalan's movie's based off of it.
I heard it wasn't very
And
good.
no, it was trash.
Okay.
I made the mistake of watching
people here.
No, but I love Shyamalan. I love his movies, but just that one in particular was because I watched the movie first and then I watched the show, and the show is far better.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, so this is another key right here. So you can see he's going to have a slow burn here, and then it's going to go into this take real quick, and then we've got to hit this that big scream right there. That's what we're going to animate next. After I hydrate.
Yeah, stream is starting to glitch out.
Is it?
Yeah, we're losing frames.
People complaining?
Yep. See what we can do here.
Hold on 1 second. Make sure the girls aren't doing any, are not on the internet. So I've got a house full right now, and they might be using the internet, which will mess us up. So right now, So now I want to have him come forward. I want his eye line to be right in here.
Do you know where the extra long Ethernet cord is?
I don't. I'm going to keep drawing. Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still going. It's just still choppy.
Actually, I'm going to go right to the end. I want to get. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go right to where I want us to end up. So it's going to be right about here. Right about there. Right about here. And when we draw this big, it gets really difficult to make sure that everything's where it should be and in proportion. Proportion's the hardest part.
Oh, it's not choppy anymore? Okay. It looks like it's starting to even out.
Okay. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do a rough drawing first. And I'll do another one over, I'll rub it down and do another one right over the top. People are saying it's smoothing out.
Yeah, but might be chopping up again.
Did you find out if the girls were on the internet?
I didn't get any responses at all.
Okay, get a response. Go out there and find out. There you go.
Are the girls on the internet?
There we go. There. So this is where I want him to come in really. Actually, his eyes have got to be even bigger. Really tight.
Do you use video reference for realistic animation?
I do. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I won't. It really depends on the complexity of the movement. So here, trying to make sure that, see him coming forward. There we go. How are we doing on the choppiness?
It's not as bad.
Okay.
Still there though.
A lot of times too is I'll look at a drawing in reverse, make sure it's looking right. There we go. Questions?
What's the difference between the tie down stage to cleanup stage?
Tie down is basically what I'm doing now. I'm kind of going from these rough, you'll see I'll rough something in, and a lot of times I'll go through the whole scene with it rough like that, but I'm also tying it down at the same time right now, which normally I'll wait until the end. And tie down means just kind of refining it, getting it nice and readable. Now the cleanup stage is when everything gets redrawn. Everything gets redrawn in a very cleaned up line.
Were you an animator for The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I was not. I skipped that film. I was working on Mulan at the time. I was in the development stages, helping in the development of Mulan, so I didn't work on Hunchback.
Did you ever see it though?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my brother worked on it. My brother's an animator as well. My brother Travis Blaise.
He worked on Notre Dame?
Yep. Yeah, he worked on Frollo, the villain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I only knew him for
Under
Tarzan
Kathy
and
Zielinski.
Lilo and Stitch. Huh?
Yeah. Kathy Zielinski.
Mm.
Kathy Zielinski was the supervisor of Frollo.
Was it Disney's idea to make Brother Bear, or was it yours?
It was both. Disney wanted to make a movie about bears, and because Lion King was doing so well, and they realized they didn't have any other animal movies in production or in development, so Michael Eisner at the time decided they wanted to do something North American, and so they settled on bears. They were developing some bear stories, but they weren't coming out very well, and then they just kind of sat there for a while. And then when we got on it, we wanted to make a movie about bears as well, but we didn't want to do it in the same vein that Disney was wanting to do it. And so we asked, when we came on, myself and Chuck Williams, I asked if we could just throw everything out that had been done and let us start from scratch with our own stories. And they said, sure. And so that's how that started. And so we started from scratch, and we wanted to do Native American, myths and folklore and legends and that sort of thing. And so that's how we got started on Brother Bear. So, there was a bear movie that Disney wanted to make. It just wasn't the movie that we ended up making. So here I'm trying to get really intense eyes.
Is every artist assigned to a different character?
Back in the day when we were hand drawing the animation, yes. Every animator was cast like an actor would be cast. And so, you would get this character or that character, and that's the character you would animate throughout the course of the film. Nowadays, with CG animation, a lot of times the animators are animating all the characters in a shot. And I think that works okay. The one thing I liked about animators being cast to a character is that character then had a very unique personality. And I'm not saying that the characters don't now, because they do have supervisors whose responsibility is to make sure that character stays consistent and unique. But when you have several people, on a character, then for me it always felt like we ended up with a lot of cool ideas. So here you can see we're coming forward. I really wanted to get this really strong through here. How are we doing on our frames dropping?
It goes up and down. Like one moment it's fine, next it drops, another moment it's fine. It's on a roller coaster.
Yeah, it happens sometimes with us here. I don't have the greatest. I'm trying to get improved internet.
Well,
But I live in little Podunk, D-Land, Florida.
Honestly, the best connection you're going to get is a direct connection.
Oh, with the
With the Ethernet?
Ethernet, yeah. I don't know where the Ethernet cables are, and we can't run it through the house right now, but we'll do it next time.
Yeah.
There. So here he is. Maybe I'll have a shoulder up here.
The girls were on 2 TVs, but they've been off for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
That TV shouldn't do anything because that's just cable, isn't it?
No, they're using the Wi-Fi. They're not on the cable.
Oh.
All right. So there's our character there. So now I need that big. I want that big expression in between. So I got to do. I want a big open eye here. This is where it gets really hard. And I want a big open eye here. I want them to kind of go up at the same time.
Needed sound.
Huh?
Yeah. Now they're saying that there's no sound. Oh, we're getting no internet at all. And I'm gonna restart the stream.
Okay, we're gonna.
Hopefully it's working fine now. We're still having few drop frames, but they're saying there's still no sound. But the mic is right there. It's working. I don't know why it's not showing any sound. Oh, sound's back. Okay. Good.
All right.
We're back on.
All right. Sorry, guys. Sorry about the technical issues. So I'm trying to get this in between. Blah! This big yell right here. This is the part when we get really big drawings like this and it starts to get dynamic. You've got to be really careful.
Do you have any advice on doing secondary or overlapping action?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you can save that till later and don't worry about it in the first pass. Get your regular action happening first, and then you can add your secondary and overlapping action later on. So I have to move these eyes around a little bit, but I'm just trying to get. Biggest thing is I want that big roar.
Are you left-handed? People think that it's mirrored.
This is not mirrored. This is my left hand. If you're watching me draw with my left hand, then yes, hey, I'm left-handed. Okay, you can see that big explosion, blah, blah, and then he settles into here.
Did you do your own in-betweening at Disney?
No, not always. Sometimes I did. Sometimes I did my own rough in-betweening. But when it came to cleanup, I didn't do my own in-betweening. Someone else would in-between it. I was already onto a different shot.
No, I'm not a lefty as well. I'm a righty. Somebody asked if I was a lefty as well.
Cheekbone. Gotta go back to cheekbone. Gotta get back to anatomy. I gotta get this mouth way open here.
We're lagging again.
Is it just the time of day?
I don't know. It's just one of those random internet days. I get days like this a few times, but they're usually the evenings where the internet just drops. Like, even my direct connection, just like no internet whatsoever.
Yeah.
Do you like the animated movie Atlantis?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's underrated. I think it's a great film. There we go. So I'm getting somewhere here. So when you start animating this big, it gets really. There he goes. Blah. Just real quick, we'll just see how that comes forward.
We're at a 25% drop frame rate.
So there he is coming forward. No! No! So here, I'm just got to get these eyes right. A lot of times I'll just work it here until we find it. Would you say 25% what, Dustin?
Drop frames.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, it's like one moment it's green, then it goes down to red, then it's all over the place.
Well, I'll just keep drawing. Hopefully it'll straighten itself out.
Yeah, it's cranked up to 27 now. What program do you use for animation frame by frame?
I use TV Paint when I'm drawing on my computer. There.
How do you maintain likeness of the face while animating?
Well, I have a certain, when I design a character, I make sure that I design it in a way that I can draw it the same way every time. That I can create, there's certain proportions. Like this character, for instance, he really just consists of, I start with a ball, but on that, then I square it off, and the bottom of that ball basically becomes his brow. Okay? Like this. And then from there, I know that's where I want his ears. From there, I know I have a big chin that comes down like this. So there's that silhouette. And that nose has a curve on it, and I know I draw those nostrils the same way each time. Like so. Those eyes are right under the brow, like that. Just like that. And then I can go in and just refine the drawing. And his hairline, I draw the same way each time. And then he's got this big neck that comes down like so. And so that's the rough version of this character. I know, and then I keep these proportions in my head, no matter what the angle, like so.
Do you draw with your shoulders?
Yes, I try to. When I'm doing something like this, man, there we go. That nose is getting in the way. I'm gonna have to redraw this. But I try, yes, to draw I try to draw from my shoulders.
Of the numerous artists in Disney, how do you unify different styles, and who decides?
We don't unify different styles. It's a art director comes up with the style of the movie, and then everybody has to mimic that style. So it's, everybody has to have the ability to change their style. That's the thing, that was one of the things I always told a lot of young people that wanted to go into visual development, because they thought it was, oh, that's a pretty cool job. All I have to do is go in and just come up with different ideas and draw them. It's like, no, you got to go in there and you've got to mimic other styles. You've got to adjust. Every movie looks different than the last, and so we have to get in there and change your style from film to film.
With the internet age, would you say it's easier or harder to get noticed?
Way easier. Holy cow, it's way easier to get noticed. Back in the day, before internet, there was no way to get noticed. So no, it's way easier now.
How long did it roughly take you to learn to draw a new character to animate?
Oh, it would take a couple weeks to come up, to if I was coming on to a new character, to design a character would take me a month or two. There we go, and then we get those.
Art director or art dictator?
Well, that's their job. That's their job. So it's their job to be the art. They come up with the style of the film, along with the director and everybody else. Ah, no! You can see that coming forward. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up those eyes, just make them a little bigger.
What do you think about flash animation?
I think it's cool. It's not quite my style, but I think it's all right. There we go. So that looks from reverse. I'm always holding it up to the light, looking at it in reverse. It's kind of a funky drawing right there, but it works for now, for our purposes, for our big purposes. I just wanted to show you guys what it's like to do something big and dynamic like this. And then what would happen is here, I would probably tilt just a little bit. You'll see I'm going to trace, because it's so big. I'm just going to trace where all the parts are. Just a little bit. You'll see what I'm doing. This is a technique we would use when we had a character that needed to settle. So you'll see I'm off registration here because I want this character to settle into a pose. So what I'm doing is I'm just, rather than having to flip back and forth, I'm just ticking off where the different parts are. So everything will stay in its place. But I'm going to push it. See, this is just for reference. Because I'm going to push the expression just a little bit once I have everything ticked off. So, there we go.
Does animation paper come in brown or gray?
It's white. Oh, you're asking if it comes in brown or gray? I don't think it does. I'm sure you could get some brown and gray paper and you can hole punch it and make your own. You just need a hole puncher. So what I'm doing here, this is something we would do, like I said, when we get into a character that's giant like this. Now watch, now he settles up. He's coming forward, and then he settles up. So now what I want to do is I can finish this drawing. But now that I know where everything generally is, I can push the expression even more.
Who's your favorite Disney villain?
My favorite Disney villain, probably Scar. I really liked Maleficent as well, from Sleeping Beauty. I thought she was a great villain.
And what do you think of the live action
Maleficent?
Yeah.
I liked it okay. Actually, I'm gonna squint his eyes. See now, his expression is intensifying. Oh no! No! That. And now. You're awfully quiet over there, Dustin.
Trying to find a good question here. Oh. What's your favorite kind of food or plate?
Food or plate?
Or just what's your favorite kind of food?
My favorite kind. Oh man, I Dustin will tell you. There's so much food that I eat, and I'm not afraid to eat anything. I've eaten everything from insects to rotten meat, everything. I don't know. I mean, I love food. I'm on a diet right now, which is killing me.
I think my favorite that you cook is the steaks that you make.
Oh yeah.
The steaks are holy crap good.
I like to cook too.
Have you ever traveled to cold Canada?
Yes, I've been to Canada. It's a cold, hostile wasteland.
I lived there for 2 years in Toronto. We would drink a lot of beer.
So here I'm going to squint this eye a little bit too. Just to intensify that look.
It looks like sound went offline for a minute there, came back again. Frames are still dropping here and there.
Are they?
Yeah. It's not as severe, but...
Sorry, folks, about the drop frames, but there's nothing I can do about it.
How often do you live stream?
We live stream twice a week, every Thursday, right here on YouTube, and then every Tuesday on Facebook. Always at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Because we found that that's pretty much for us the best way. I know there's people around the world that it's not convenient for them, but we can't satisfy everybody, unfortunately. But the good thing is that these are always cataloged and you can always watch them later.
How did you lip sync the audio to animation?
That we would get what's called an exposure sheet, and so on the exposure sheet, it's a sheet. It's a manila sheet, let's say. It looks like this, and up here it would have the name of the production. It would have the shot number. It would have the sequence number. It would have all those different things, and then along here, it would have a start. Boop, with an arrow, and then there's all these lines. Line, 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 like this. And then there's different columns. Okay, so let's say this would be one of our characters. I'll just say character, and so we'd say, or we'd write it up here, character, and then you'd have frame 1. Each column is a frame. Frame 2, frame 3, or frame, however you go, all the way down through. Now over here they would have a dialogue column right here, and the editors would actually write the dialogue according to what frame each sound fell on. So they would write all the dialogue out, but you would see that on frame 13 there's got to be an R shape to the mouth, and so that's how we were able to get our lip sync. And you would just go through the entire shot in that way, and you just put the mouth shape according to the shape. First of all, just backing up, the dialogue is always written or recorded first, so the animators have the dialogue to listen to.
Mind if I answer a question?
Sure.
Because I got a question asking, Dustin, do you animate at all like Aaron? I do not animate like he does, although in the movie industry I did do rotoscoping, which is, I guess you could say, a different kind of animation, where you just, you create what are called splines, like outlines on certain objects, whether if it's like fingertips or hands, arms, a desk, all that sorts, and you animate that throughout the shot, and you end up using that to cut that part out or turn it into 3D, in which in my case it was turning into 3D. So it's kind of a mixed answer of yes and no, I guess you could say. Like, yes, I've done animation, but no for drawing.
Bingo.
Bingo! Do you have a specific time when you enjoy drawing the most?
No. I like drawing all the time. I really do. So
Can you save
for
this
me,
video?
it's any time.
Alright.
What's that?
Can you save this video?
Yeah, this video is going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Just like I've got a whole section on my YouTube page that's nothing but live streams.
And somebody in the stream just made a really good point. that the character you're animating is mad that the internet's so slow.
Yeah. Sorry. We'll work on getting that fixed. But we're getting to the end here anyway. We're getting pretty close.
Does that paper get spoiled when it's flipped too much?
Nope. Because normally when it's shot, it goes under glass. And so a piece of glass presses it down and we shoot through the glass. The image. So everything gets pressed down really flat and you don't see all the wrinkles and all that.
What caliber do you use when you're shooting them?
What caliber?
Took you a minute.
Oh, a gun joke.
Is this scene something you're doing for a project, or is this just for...
This is just for you guys. Just wanted to show you how much fun it can be when you're doing something really big and dynamic like this.
Are the edges of the paper the camera frame?
No, probably the framing would be in here. Right along in here. There's...
Do you prefer animating humans or animals?
Animals. I always like animating animals. So let's go back to the beginning here where we started. We're just jumping forward, beginning to end. So from here to here, we got a character that's getting more and more intense. Almost looks like a vampire here.
Yeah, just add a few fangs and you'll be good. Have you ever had any pets?
I've had hundreds of pets. We've got 3 now. We've got Achilles, who's laying on the floor between us. We've got Max, our little toy poodle out in the living room, and we've got Ruby, calico cat. And we've also got a frog, and we've got 7 fish.
Ribbit.
So I'm gonna add one more in between here.
Do you prefer lions or tigers? Or bears? Oh my.
I love all big cats. I don't have a preference. I love tigers. I mean, obviously their markings are really cool, but I love lions. I've watched and observed wild lions in the Masai Mara in Kenya.
Could you
That to me
animate
was one of the most magical experiences I've ever had. What's that?
Could you animate a monster next week?
Animate a monster? Maybe. Depends on what we decide to animate. You know, the only problem with these live streams is I've only got about 2 hours to animate something for you. And a lot of times the most interesting scenes or shots that I animate, they take about 2 weeks to animate. So being able to animate something in 2 hours, it's usually just a quick shot like we're doing here.
Have you ever had exotic animals?
We've had peacocks. Trying to think.
We nursed a squirrel once.
That wasn't exotic, but we did.
Was not a normal pet.
Yeah, we did raise a squirrel.
Squirrel.
His name was Tommy.
How's Snow Bear coming along?
Snow Bear is coming along nicely. I keep having to take a break from it in order to create new courses, and it's hard to create content, courses, and all that stuff, and then also create an animated short. It's just we've always got something that we're behind on or having to do and get done. Constant. But I like it. I love what we do. Especially, the way we get to talk to you guys, and I get to share, being able to share this kind of stuff with an audience as big as what we've got is, it was unheard of, years ago. If you would have told me while I was at Disney that this is what I'd be doing in 20 years, I would have thought you were crazy. But here we are.
What happened with Art Story?
Art Story, we still have it, and we're having a hard time with it because we've shopped it around to all the major studios, and nobody wants to pick it up right now. So we're giving it a break, and we're just waiting to see what's going to happen. We've got a couple of people involved that have been involved from the beginning that might help us out down the road, but we just have to wait and see. It's one of those things where I thought, I love the story so much, and I just assumed that once I got it out to the major studios that they would jump on it, and unfortunately it didn't happen that way. A lot of them, their slates were filled, and I pitched it at Fox, I pitched it at Amazon, I pitched it at Warner Brothers, and the timing just isn't right. So we're still sitting on it. It's still a story that we love. It's still a story that we want to keep rolling with, and we'll see what happens.
In comparison to when you first started, how much faster do you think you've been able to animate or sketch since you first started?
Oh, I'm a lot faster. I can't give you a hard number. I don't know how to quantify that.
2.5 seconds faster.
Yeah. But I'm definitely faster. And here I'm just roughly putting in this extra drawing.
Could you make an animation about a wolf pack or wolf pups? Or a lone wolf pack?
A lone wolf pack. Where are we? Aren't we the lone wolf pack? We're the two best friends that anybody could have.
We're the two best friends that anybody could have. We're the two best friends that anybody could have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other.
We're our own wolf pack.
Would you be able to make an animation for a wolf pack or
yeah, I'd love to at some point.
Oh.
So very subtle intensifying of the expression. Then big.
Why pitch the idea to only animation studios? Why not animators online? They may be willing to help.
Because it's too big of a project in order for us to do it. It's way too big of a project, and we can't do it in the way that you're talking. And from an art direction standpoint, it's really huge. So it's a big budget film, and so we're waiting till we can find someone that have big pockets.
Any tips on animating subtle movements?
Yeah, don't move it as much.
Simple enough.
Just kidding. No, it really takes discipline, and like this here. This is subtle. There's a subtle intensity, and you just got to really be careful. Make sure that you're drawing your character consistently. Fair enough. So here I'm going to do an in-between going into this take.
How long will it take to make an animated movie if you had the storyline all planned out?
If the storyline's all done, if it's all been storyboarded, and it's good, which, that takes a long time in itself. That takes about a year or 2 years. But once you start producing it, you can get an animated film done in about 18 to 24 months.
So almost 2 years.
Yeah. But that's just the production part of it.
Right. That's with like the voice acting, the music, and the animating, that all that in the 24-month period.
Yep. So much of our time is spent developing the film. A huge amount of time is spent developing the film. Getting that story written, getting it better.
The biggest part of the project would be getting the story and the script down, right?
Yes.
Do you think animation should be family friendly only, or do you think it can go adult oriented while having the same level of quality as any other work?
Well, it's I think animation's just a medium. You can do whatever you want with it, right?
Right.
I mean, doesn't matter what you do with it. I think you're cutting yourself off from a much bigger audience when you step away from the family friendly. And so many people think family friendly means writing for kids, and that's not what it means at all. I prefer family friendly. I never want to walk away from that because I think there's so much more to be said in that genre, in that arena. Everybody thinks that making it more quote adult will make it more edgy, and that edgy, making something edgy, it doesn't mean it's more entertaining. And I think you can have just as much entertainment in the family-friendly arena. Now, back to the question. Yeah, it's like I said, it's just animation. You can do with it whatever you want. Now, if you can find someone that's willing to take the gamble of doing something more adult-oriented, the monetary gamble, the money gamble, because trust me, when you're animating for a studio, you're using other people's money, and so that's why the family entertainment industry, that includes the entire audience. Everybody out there it falls under the umbrella of family entertainment. And when you start cutting people out of that pie, like children and that sort of thing, you're cutting a significant part of your potential audience to make a profit. So if you can find someone that is willing to make that leap with you, then sure, go for it. Just make sure that story's good.
What's your favorite Daft Punk song?
I don't have one.
I think mine's Robot Rock.
Robot Rock.
It's a fun song to get to listen to while playing video games. It's that good hard beat to it.
So here you can see, if I flip back and forth, you can see he's starting to squint. That's Clint.
Do you plan on publishing a book on animating?
I don't. We've talked about it. We've talked about publishing a book on animation. It's just not something we've been able to pursue right now. And just like I was talking about Snow Bear, we've got so many projects in the works that I would rather be doing. So it's just a matter of finding the time to do it. I have a lot of people asking me if I'm going to be doing an art book anytime soon. I'd like to, but if I make an art book, that means I'm not making art. I'm busy making a book. And I'd much rather make art than make a book. So I need to find someone that can make the book for me. And we've got people, but and I've got my friend Dave Clayton who's willing to do it. But he, but once again, it just means I have to take time away and figure out what I want to do and all that stuff. And it's just not something I want to do right now.
What's your favorite Disney movie soundtrack?
Good question. Wow. For score, I'm trying to think. I think, was it Dinosaur? I know Dinosaur is like, what? I thought Dinosaur had a really good score. I thought Rescuers Down Under had a really good score. Lion King. My favorite score is Lion King.
Yeah. That's a good one. Though my favorite song has to be the Transformation song from Brother Bear.
Oh, thanks, man. You didn't have to say that.
I'm being serious.
And here comes coming forward. I think I'm going to call it at this point.
Yeah.
He comes forward. We would add an in-between here, but how are we doing on time? We've been at it for an hour and a half.
Just a little over, yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll do an in-between. What the heck?
Any plans for an animal drawing workshop? Let's say at the Big Cat Habitat in Sarasota?
Yes, we do have plans for that. Just tentative plans. We don't have dates or anything. But it's something we definitely want to do, and we want to offer it to people to where they can fly in from anywhere, and we can set up to where we can put people up, and with hotels, and we have some nighttime stuff to do, and there's a lot of stuff we want to do with that. So yeah, right now we're just having to figure it out.
What do you think of Hayao Miyazaki or Studio Ghibli's work?
Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
Where can we find and watch Brother Bear now?
Beats me. I don't know.
Well, I know it's on, I could have sworn it's on Netflix. They might have taken it down.
I think I've taken it down.
But, you could try Hulu. I don't know if Hulu has it. I know for a fact Google has it. You can buy it off of Google Play, Google Movies options.
Oh yeah?
And from there you can watch it either from Google itself or from YouTube.
Oh, that's cool.
What did you think of the movie Isle of Dogs?
I loved it. We just watched it for the first time. My girlfriend Verdanta and I, we just watched it, 2 weeks ago maybe?
I don't know. I'm not her. And I think it's currently on Netflix.
Isle of Dogs?
Yeah.
Dags?
Dags.
Dags.
You like Dags?
Dags.
Yeah, Brother Bear's on YouTube movies. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
I cannot see it because I'm working in the office, but I hear all the wisdom that Aaron gives. So he can't see you, but he can hear you.
Hello. Hello to that person working in the office.
Hello, it's your conscience. We
sorry.
haven't really talked in a while.
I'm spouting wisdom. I don't know what that means. I'm spouting wisdom.
Any advice for storyboarding?
Yeah, get my course on storyboarding at creatureartteacher.com. No, really, that's my best advice is to educate yourself. Storyboarding is so incredibly difficult. It's one of the reasons why I storyboard, but I would never call myself great at it. And it's one of the reasons why I decided not to create a course on storyboarding, and I instead got my friend, who I feel is an expert, Lyndon Ruddy, to teach the course. And he's amazing. And so we have a course on storyboarding at creatureartteacher.com. I know I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm totally selling it, but I definitely am trying to sell it, because I think if you want to learn storyboarding, you've got to learn it. I think you've got to learn it from other people. It's such a big craft.
Are you doing a timing chart for this?
Not real. I probably won't for this, because I've got to shoot it first to figure out my timing.
And what is the timing chart? There's a few people asking that.
Timing chart. I'll show you. So let me go to this pose. So here we've got two keys right here. See that? That one and this one. And right now I've got 4 drawings, and I want it to be a steady burn where he gets really angry. And I want each one of these to be on for about 8 frames. So this would be frame 9. This would be frame 17. But then this one, actually I might make this one more than 8. But I would make this one 21.
21?
Frame 21. And then this one, I would go frame 40. I want 40 frames to go by as he slowly burns. But I only have 4 drawings done, right? So what does that mean? Well, I got to do a timing chart. So from drawing 1 to drawing 40, it's going to look like this. We'll do a big line like this, and there's drawing 40. And these are nice, even, well actually, I slowed in. So drawing 9 falls in the middle between 1 and 40, right? If you watch that, drawing 9 falls in the middle. So I put drawing 9 right there, and I go boop, boop, like that. That means it's halfway. Now, drawing 21 is halfway in between 9 and 40. So I go back and I go boom, 21, like that. Now, I want everything to be nice and even. I might want it to slow out of this pose a little bit. So what I might do is go, let's say, we'll make this 7. And go like that. Then I'll go 5 and 3. So you can see it slows out of that first pose. Now, drawing 7, 5, and 3 don't exist. Those are when I have someone follow up. They know now that drawing 7, they have to put a drawing between 1 and 9. And then drawing 5, they have to go between 7 and 1. And drawing 3 is between 5 and 1. So that it tells people down the road how to do all of your timing. So now between 9 and 21, there's no drawings here between 9 and 21. So I need to tell them, oh, okay, well I want, let's say I want 13. No, maybe I'm going to do it this way, because I want it to be very even. I would go 15, and then here I could do thirds like that. Can you see that?
Yeah, a little bit.
And that would be 11 and 13 would go there, and those are evenly spaced on thirds. And then I'd go 17 and 19 on thirds like that. So now everything's nice and evenly spaced there. And then now from 21 to 40, it's super close. So from there, I can go 23, 25, and go like, go like this, and then like this. And then it gets too close to write the numbers, and so I just do like that, and that tells them that you just slow in. And then I can also write slow in. And that's one example. That's a really big chart, but that's one example of how to do charts for just 40 frames of drawings right here. Now here, from 40 to here, this would only be about, this would be drawing 45. Maybe there's only 5 frames between these two. And I don't mean for this to be 40, I want it to be 41, right? Yeah. So here, I might just go, oh, here's 45, and we'll go, here's 43. And I wanted a third closer to 45, so that's how I make that chart.
Quick question on the time chart.
Yes.
Are you using odd numbers because of it's shot in 2 starting from 1?
Yes, and that's where I was just about to give you that information. I'm doing odd numbers because it starts at 1, and I'm doing everything on 2s. So there's this, and I'm adding this drawing. There's our in-between coming from the
They're working on 5 frames per second?
No, I'm working on 24 frames per second. 24 frames per second. Sometimes I'll just do a partial, just to get the drawing to read. I'll just do the most important parts of the drawing and not worry about the rest. Oh, sorry. Did you run over my dog?
Almost did. So 24 frames equals 1 second?
Correct. So that's why it's so labor intensive. Like this shot that I'm animating for you guys would probably only last about 5 seconds.
So how many frames for an entire 1 hour movie?
Well, most of our movies are an hour and 20 minutes. I used to know, I can't remember what it is anymore. Do the math. So it's 24 frames per second.
100 billion frames.
I think it's 100 billion frames, yeah. I think it's umpty million.
Would you ever consider animating for a video game?
I get that question every single week. That's funny.
Every single week.
I think it would really depend on the game, but it's not something I'm really interested in.
Maybe if Cuphead did a sequel.
Maybe. But even that, it's like, meh. I did animate on the old Sega games, with the Disney Sega, Disney Lion King, and the Lion King Sega and Aladdin Sega.
Yeah.
I animated on those.
Would you ever go back to Disney to work on something?
I think if the project was right and if they actually wanted me. So here, I've got just enough drawing. I don't need to draw anymore because I can flip now. And you can see that action of him coming forward. See that? Wow, wow. And then he settles. So he's biting at you. But doing stuff like this, where a character comes into camera, is a lot of fun. It's really difficult, especially when you're, like I said, when you're drawing this big, having to draw your character this big. It gets difficult. It's hard to keep the proportions right, but it's fun. And here, I think he went cross-eyed. Did he go cross-eyed?
He looks a little.
I think he's cross-eyed. I made him cross-eyed. Oh, he's totally cross-eyed. Hold on, I gotta pull this eye over.
He kind of looks like he's about to face plant. Like, good.
Once again, it's hard to keep your characters consistent. A little better.
Is that Hulk?
Could be.
It's funny. Actually, last night I just watched Thor Ragnarok again.
Ragnarok. He's still cross-eyed, but what the heck? I'm rolling with it.
You're angry.
So anyway, this is our little character coming forward in a much more dynamic expression. So he's a slow burn, and then comes forward.
The image blurred. There you go.
So,
Nice.
animation on paper. That was
Good.
fun. So, unless you guys have any more questions, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. That was a good session today. How long we were at it? We were at it for just under
almost
2 hours.
Almost. Where do you buy your animation paper?
This paper I got from a friend of mine. I'm going to have to get you guys the information because they get it special ordered. This is the same paper we used at Disney, and that's really hard to find. And so I have to. I got to get you the information. I don't have the information right now because, like I said, I get this from my buddy who orders it from someplace else. But other than that, I know that's a horrible answer. But any more questions? One more question to go before we sign off. I'm looking at Dustin.
Hi. Where did you get the desk?
At Disney. The desk came from Disney. I've had this desk for 25 years. And I animated Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Mulan, and Brother Bear on this very desk. It's got a lot of good memories. I've got a lion scratched into the surface right over here. Actually, can you move the camera, Dustin? Over here? Can you move the camera? Yeah. There's a lion that I rubbed graphite into you can just probably take it off of there.
There you go. I got it.
Can you see it right there? Can you zoom in on it? So I did this. I scratched this lion into the desk in what month is that? February? No, yeah, I think it says February of 1992. It was the first day I was starting The Lion King, and so I decided I was going to put a lion on my desk, and so I rubbed in graphite, and I used an X-Acto knife, and I just cut away and made the lion, and then I sprayed it and sealed it, and it's been there ever since 1992. So yeah, so this desk has lots of memories, and I dig it.
You did.
But anyway, yeah, So thank you everybody for showing up, and I hope you learned something. I know that it was kind of choppy today, and the internet was a little bit of a bummer.
We'll work
try
on
to-
that.
Yeah, we'll work on it. Try to get it better. But I hope you guys learned something. I always enjoy talking about paper, animating on paper, old school, all that good stuff. And so go out and try some of the techniques that you may have learned today. And above all, like I always say, go out and make someone else's life better. Put some beauty back into the world, because that's our job, especially as artists. And I think as human beings, just let's put some good back into the world, because I think it's starving for it right now. But anyway, enough of that. Go out and make some art. And thanks for hanging out with us for 2 hours. And check out my website, creatureartteacher.com, and you're going to find all kinds of lessons there: animation lessons, painting lessons, animal drawing lessons, color, story, digital painting, all kinds of stuff. So check it out. And I hope you guys have a great week. Remember, we're going to be back here again on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll be on Facebook on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And maybe you can catch us over there. So without further ado, I will talk to you later. Dustin?
Bye.